All the class 9 students of St. Michael's Academy, welcome to online physical science class. Today I am discussing the second part of heat. First, I am discussing anomalous expansion of water. What is it? Anomalous expansion of water refers to water's unusual ability to expand instead of contracting when cooled. This layer of ice acts as an insulation and prevents heat from escaping the water and the cold outside from coming inside the water. Thus, it helps in survival of aquatic animals and fishes. See the diagram. Anomalous expansion of water is an abnormal property of water whereby it expands instead of contracting when the temperature goes from 4 degrees centigrade to 0 degrees centigrade, and it becomes less dense. The density becomes less and the less as it freezes because molecules of water normally form open crystal structures when in solid form. There is another diagram at the corner. If you will see, you will understand. In that diagram, degree wise actually segregations are there. And in your book, one graph is there, volume and temperature wise. That graph is also very, very important. Please draw the graph in your copy. So actually, anomalous expansion of water is a peculiar behavior of water. This peculiar behavior of expansion of water has great importance of marine life, that is aquatic life, in cold countries. Why? Because in these countries, when air above the surface of water of pond falls below 0 degrees Celsius, see the diagram at the corner, you will understand. The water on the surface on cooling becomes denser than that below and gradually sinks downwards. This continues till the water temperature falls to 4 degrees Celsius. As the surface temperature falls further, it becomes less dense than the water below, which is at 4 degrees Celsius and is the densest. It thus remains at the top, cooling more and more, and ultimately a layer of ice is formed there and remains there. As ice is lighter than water, the layer of ice forms a poor conducting layer on the top, which prevents the heat from water below to pass into colder atmosphere above. Layer of ice develops in thickness extremely slowly. The temperature of the deeper layers of the water in the pond remains nearly at 4 degrees Celsius and falls gradually to 0 degrees Celsius upwards till the layer of ice is reached. The marine life in the winter is thus saved. In 3 marks question, what is anomalous expansion of water and what is its use? You have to draw the diagram along with the definition and the example. Now I am discussing saturated and unsaturated vapor. The maximum limit of water vapor that a given quantity of air can hold at a particular temperature is termed as saturated vapor. In such a case, relative humidity will be 100%. For all other cases where maximum limit of vapor is not reached, the vapor thus formed is termed as unsaturated vapor. Now, the difference is just that one is in the liquid phase and the other is in the vapor phase. If a small amount of energy is added to saturated liquid, it turns into vapor at constant temperature. Likewise, if a small amount of energy is removed from saturated vapor, it will condense to liquid at constant temperature. See the diagram, unsaturated vapor and saturated vapor separately I have given. Now difference from your book, obviously they have given 1, 2, 3, 4 like this, but you will write this column wise. Remember this column wise you have to write. A vapor is in a closed enclosure at a given temperature is said to be saturated. If the pressure exerted by it is maximum at that temperature and the pressure is called saturation vapor pressure at that temperature. And a vapor in a closed enclosure at a given temperature is said to be unsaturated if the pressure exerted by it is less than the maximum value at least that temperature. At that temperature. Now second point, saturated vapor does not obey Boyle's law while unsaturated vapor obeys Boyle's law. Third point, saturated vapor does not obey pressure law while unsaturated vapor obeys pressure law. And number 4, a certain quantity of unsaturated vapor can become saturated if the pressure be increased to the temperature be decreased at constant volume. One more thing I want to say that from this difference in your book, number 4 points please don't write. 3 points are there, column wise you can mention it, and as well as I have also given in my slide 1 point, 1 or 2 points, from there also you can add. You remember the marking, if 2 marks will be there you have to write 4 points. If 1 mark will be there you have to write 2 points like this. Now what is dew? Dew is a natural form of water formed as water vapor condenses. This forces water vapor in the air around cooling objects to condense. When condensation happens, small water droplets form dew. The temperature at which dew forms is called the dew point. Now next, how it is formed? Dew is the result of water changing from a vapor to a liquid. Colder air is less able to hold water vapor than warm air. This forces water vapor in the air around cooling objects to condense. When condensation happens, small water droplets form dew. Now why does morning dew occur? Dew is water in the form of droplets that appears on thin exposed objects in the morning or evening due to condensation. As the exposed surface cools by radiating its heat, atmospheric moisture condenses at a rate greater than that at which it can evaporate, resulting in the formation of water droplets. Now, the last topic, but not the least, of this chapter, that is mist. A cloud of tiny water droplets suspended in the atmosphere at or near the Earth's surface that limits visibility to a lesser extent than fog strictly, with visibility remaining above 1 kilometer. Now, what is the difference between mist and fog then? Fog is a cloud that reaches ground level, even if that ground is a hill or mountain top. Mist forms wherever water droplets are suspended in the air by temperature inversion, volcanic activity, or changes in humidity. Fog is denser than mist and tends to last longer. See, I have given one diagram. Here fog and mist both are there, so that it will help you to understand what is the difference between fog and mist. Thank you students. For any doubts or queries, please email me at sudeshna1.sma outlook.com. Please respond properly so that I'll also understand whether you are understanding or not. And whatever slides I am giving, please go through the slides along with your book. It will help you to make yourself understand. And the question answers are very, very important. Try to solve all the question answers and draw the proper diagram, as well as question answer also you will write in your physical science copy.